House Legislature.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I just wanted to make a couple of quick statements about Baltimore and Maryland. This has been a lawless city for quite some time. This is not just happening overnight. That mayor was actually put in office because her predecessor was convicted of embezzling state funds. She is a lawless mayor. She openly told the police department 2 years ago not to follow federal law concerning illegal aliens. She has openly said that she wants to have 10,000, quote, immigrant families move into Baltimore.
Ugh.
She doesn't follow Maryland law. And with this kind of lawlessness and handcuffing the police the way she has, it's not a surprise. But the real shocker was this morning, Michael, when the president of the Baltimore City Council had a press conference with known gang members standing side by side with him, and he apologized to the rioters for being called thugs, and he said that they are really just misdirected youth.
Well, isn't that what the caller just said to me? He used the same code words, misdirected?
Yeah, he was saying that they're misdirected young people, but this is the president of the Baltimore City Council.
All right, so it's corrupt. What's new about that? I mean, Baltimore's been a corrupt city going back 100 years.
Well, what we've got, if you listen to them last night, they were saying, well, this is an angry city. They don't have the right school system. The taxpayers of Maryland last year gave them $1 billion for their schools in Baltimore City.
Oh, yeah, and where'd the money go? Up whose noses?
Exactly, and the corruption in that city, and if you call them out...
Well, the corruption in Baltimore is bad, but you don't live in San Francisco. You don't know how bad corruption is until you've lived here. This is a one-party system here. You have a Republican governor. We have a one-party system in the state of California. They are raping the treasuries from the state house to the city house. This is the most corrupt state in the whole country and the most corrupt city in the country, but people don't even know it because they never hear about San Francisco because there's no newspaper here.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is from Baltimore, as you know, and we just recently got our Republican governor, and this Stephanie Rawlings Blake, the mayor of Baltimore, refused to answer the governor's calls all day yesterday.
Where did she come from? I watched her, and she just looked like a college administrator who didn't know very much. Where did they choose her? Where did they get her from?
Well, that's basically where she's the daughter of a well-known Democrat big wheel that was in the House of Delegates named Pete Rawlings. And when she decided, she went to law school, and then she decided she wanted to get into politics, so of course he pulled strings. And then when Sheila Dixon, the one that got convicted of embezzling money in the city of Baltimore, they moved her in. And so that's why she's there. And she has destroyed this city. She has.
I hear what you're saying. I got to say something that's a little on the racial element side. Baltimore was... 50 years ago, about 50% white, 50% black, right? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
It was about 50-50 white and black. Today it's what, 60-30, 60-40?
If it's that much, I think it's more like, it could even be more like 65-25.
All right. Now, there was a time that the Italians ran Baltimore. Isn't that true?
Yes, that was Nancy Pelosi's father was...
And wasn't the city at that time a little less violent? I don't know there were any riots in the city at that time, were there?
No, you're absolutely right. It was more.
So in other words, it may have had its share of corruption, but the city was under control. It was much safer for business people, for the middle class. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction right now. We see what happens when liberal Democrats, whatever the race may be, take control of a city, a state, or a federal government. And what happens after this mismanagement and this mayhem is that people start to scream for law and order. And law and order candidates come along, and they're usually swept into office. That's been the history of America, and I predict that's what's going to happen not only in Baltimore, but in America as well. The problem on a national level is not one Republican has stood up as a law and order candidate, by the way, to bring it up to a federal level. I do not know of one of them who has declared himself a law and order candidate. Do you?
No, I do not, and you're absolutely right when you say that, and I know this from the inside, from cops that talked to me last night and this morning, that they were told to stand down to those protesters, and they were told to sit there and take it as bricks and rocks were thrown at them.
Well, who told them that? The mayor?
The mayor's office came out. I'm being told that the mayor's office very strictly said, you must stand down, and that was from her meetings over the...
But why did she want her city to burn? Why does she want it to burn, baby, burn? What's in it for her?
Because basically what's in it for her, Michael, is what you saw last night was race riots because of this black-white, the black-on-white crime in Baltimore is never talked about, yet it is so prevalent. There are places in Baltimore, if you're a white person, you do not go. You go to a very limited area by the stadium.
Right. Haven't there been many instances of the knockout game, so-called, in Baltimore? I remember seeing it over the last few years.
Yes, the knockout game is very prevalent, and let me tell you, they never get convicted. This year, Michael, 38 bills went through the Democrat-controlled legislature that were focused on the rights of the criminal. In fact, we dubbed it the Year of the Criminal in Baltimore. We did this back in February, not knowing that these riots were going to come. But last year, the guards in the Baltimore City Jail were found to be members of the gangs there. And and that was a big scandal in the jail. But when you found out yesterday that the Crips, the Bloods, and the Black Guerrilla family had bounded together to target police, Martha Washington, as you say, she didn't tell you the whole story. They were targeting white police officers.
Yeah, I know. She left that out. She's very clever. She's as clever as Obama in her use of language, Martha Washington. Can you repeat your name and your position in the city of Baltimore again?
I work for a state delegate in the Maryland House of Delegates in the legislature. I want to say one quick thing.
No, I want you to stay on because you've been quite illuminating for myself and I'm sure for my audience. Would you please stay on? It's like we found a great guest by accident because you're divulging things I didn't know about Baltimore and why the riots happened and confirming my suspicion that this riot did not occur in a vacuum. It was not only planned, it was promoted, and it was aided and abetted by higher powers. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUY-COIN.
Now, the challenge for us as the federal government is that we don't run these police forces. I can't federalize every police force in the country and force them to retrain.
So you can. You can send Al Sharpton to retrain. You could actually use the Crips and the Bloods to retrain the police. That would be like bringing in ISIS to retrain the U.S. military to not be so racist. That's what the liberals would like. Bring in ISIS members to America and have them teach at the VMI in West Point on how to be more friendly to Islamists and not be Islamophobic. Because Islamophobia is far worse than cutting off someone's head by Islamists. I mean, if you're a liberal, everything is upside down. So, yeah, bring in the Crips and the Bloods and have them teach the federal police in every department. Send them around the country on a big paycheck. Teach them how to be kinder and gentler to the gangbangers. And then legalize. See, if you legalize drugs, you'd put them out of business, so you can't do that. So you keep drugs illegal, and then you have the Crips and the Bloods teaching the police how to be kinder and gentler towards the drug dealers. Then you won't have as much crime, and cities won't burn. And then while you're at it, Mr. Obama, have ISIS retrain the military on how to be friendlier toward the Islamics. See, that makes sense if the world's upside down.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
The violence that happened yesterday distracted from the fact that you had seen multiple days of peaceful protests that were focused on entirely legitimate concerns of these communities in Baltimore. led by clergy and community leaders, and they were constructive and they were thoughtful, and frankly didn't get that much attention. And one burning building will be looped on television over and over and over again.
You see, he's speaking with forked tongue again. There he goes. What he's saying is it took a burning building to get your attention. That's what he just said. So don't assume that this happened in a vacuum. Evidence has come out from social media that outside agitators, the same ones who brought us the fires in Ferguson and the riots, are doing it again in Baltimore, and they're not finished yet. Welcome to the Savage Nation. There's an awful lot to talk about. I think in the last hour as it ended, we had a caller who works in the state government who broke some news here. I didn't read it anywhere. I didn't hear it anywhere. She said that she knows for a fact that the incompetent mayor that everyone was talking about gave a stand-down order to the Baltimore police that they're not to react at all. She said that. Did you hear that on the show? That was breaking news. I didn't see it on the wires, but we broke the news on the show. If it's true, and I think it must be true, because there's no other explanation to have allowed this to have occurred. She told them, stand down. She told them not to react. She told them not to use fire hoses. She told them not to use rubber bullets. She told them not to use sticks. She told them to stand there like a bunch of dummies, and it's going to happen again tonight. The next thing about the mayor that puzzled even liberals last night was, why did the moron mayor say the curfew begins tonight rather than last night? What was that about? How did that work out? How does that figure? How in the world did that figure? Who is she? Well, she's a patronage appointee, a political appointee. Her father is a powerful figure in the state government, and he made her mayor, that's all. Another one, another idiot who belongs running a girls' college somewhere in Washington State, if there are any. I don't know if they're allowed to have girls' colleges in Washington State. Given that amendment clause in Washington, it may be something different than that. Nevertheless, here we are, and I've talked an awful lot for 2 hours. I'd like to know what you have to say. I'm going to open the lines up at 855-407-2822. But before I do, these guys worked so hard today to get us sound. We played a lot of the of the governor. I think we have to go back to the Baltimore mayor. The most important point was made Saturday night when she said that they have the right to destroy space in clip number 17.
It's a very delicate balancing act, because while we tried to make sure that they were protected from the cars and the other things that were going on, we also gave those who wished to destroy space to do that as well.
Okay.
And
those who wish to destroy space to do that as well. Oh, okay. So they destroyed. You gave them the space. You told the police not to act. Then she gets called on it, and she says the media misquoted her. Listen to 18 now.
We balance a very fine line between giving protesters, peaceful protesters, space to protest. What I said is, in doing so, people can hijack that and use that space for bad. I did not say that we were accepting of it.
Nonsense.
I did not say that we were.
She's lying. She got caught lying. And what's new about that? A politician lies? She said we gave those who wish to destroy space to do that. That's all. It's as simple as that. And the rest is history. She gave an invitation to destroy, and they did. Destroy they did. Alveda King is certainly a name that you should know. She is a direct descendant of Martin Luther King Jr. Listen to what she says in 19 and 20 on the Savage Nation. Tell me what you think.
If you look at those children throwing the rocks and the anger, and then they're being stirred on probably by outside agitators. And so in the 1960s, 1963, the Children's March, we were calm, we were orderly, we were prayerful. And so we knew how to demonstrate peacefully. No one has instructed these young children. And then the mayor gives an invitation to destroy. And economically and morally, that's disaster. And I don't know, if she's a head of a city, she should be thinking. And I don't believe she is.
Well, she's in a very good company with the president. What's he thinking about? Where was he last night? Everyone was asking, where is he? Why doesn't he give a speech? And I bring it back home here. Again, I will say to you, with a lawless president, what did you expect to happen in Baltimore? With a lawless attorney general, a lawless Democrat Party in general, a party that makes up laws and disregards others, what did you expect to happen? Without law, there can be no order. You ask, why didn't the police act? We learned today in the